Jay's been with us for just a little over a year now, and has brought, as I think everyone sitting here knows, a huge amount of energy and boundless enthusiasm for everything that he does as president here. So we're very pleased to welcome you back for your second year and hope that you have a long stay with us.
Well, thank you very much, Nancy, and welcome everyone to the new academic year at Wayne State, and thank you all for being here to join me in thinking about our future in the coming year and beyond. I'll share a few reflections on the past year, but I'd like to focus mostly on some ideas about our future. I believe we are at a pivotal period in the history of this university, poised in the next few years to have potentially far-reaching impact on the people and the communities we serve, and through that, on the character of the university. Clearly, Detroit, Michigan, and Wayne State are at a crossroads. Michigan's economy is in the throes of dramatic change, and higher education provides essential energy to assure that change will convert Michigan to the economic dynamo we know it can be, as it once was when the automotive industry was at its zenith and, in fact, was the backbone of the economy. The ingredients for the future economic dynamo are all here, and Wayne State is a key element. I'll describe 7 issues that I think we must confront in the coming year, and that I believe are essential to Wayne State's pursuit of excellence and essential to revitalizing the future of those we serve. This year, we will pursue specific next stages of initiatives that will be critical to setting the course, the longer-term course, for all 7 of these issues. And these are the issues. 1, student success. 2, incentives for productive research. 3, increased recruitment of full-time tenure-track faculty. 4, resources and revenue enhancement. 5th, entrepreneurship and economic stimulus. 6th, Midtown Woodward Wayne, and I'll tell you more what I mean by that in a minute. And 7th, continual pursuit of new strategic directions. So let me begin with number 1, student success. When I speak of student success, I mean academic achievement to each student's fullest potential through a learning environment that both challenges students to stretch beyond expectations and also nurtures students by recognizing their individual special needs for learning. Student success requires the active support of the entire university community to maximize each student's potential to achieve academically, and by that means establish a productive life course. We all know the common measures of retention and graduation rates, and we must continually measure these benchmarks, but measurements are not enough. An essential element in student success is admissions standards that give every student a realistic, fighting chance for achievement. Success goes far beyond a philosophy of open admissions. Just getting admitted to college is not success, and we do no student a favor by admission to Wayne State if they simply cannot do the work and fail. In fact, this kind of failure too often leads to disillusionment, so much so that a student will give up on higher education entirely. That's a tragedy we must avoid. And I'm afraid that we sometimes actually facilitate that unfortunate outcome. Our commitment should be essentially the same as that articulated by President Truman's Commission on Higher Education 60 years ago. It's true now like it was then, and to quote part of it, every citizen should have the opportunity to pursue higher education to the fullest extent of his or her abilities and energy. I also like sort of the modernized version that came from President Obama when he said, quote, "We must make sure that people who have the grades, the desire, and the will, but not the money, can still get the best education possible," end quote. We have special programs in place to help newly admitted students who need extra academic support. Among them are our learning communities, our Emerging Scholars Program, the Comerica Academic Success Center, and APEX, the Office for Academic Pathways for Excellence. These are programs that seek to improve retention and graduation of students who have sufficient ability but are disadvantaged by inadequate educational or social preparation and need significant learning skills development to increase their potential for success. It's wholly appropriate for these programs to take risks with disadvantaged students with clear ambition. But they must be targeted, not broadly open for all. For students with high levels of failure risk, we should provide sensitive and assessment-based guidance for alternative routes to academic success other than admission to Wayne State, including promise of later admission to Wayne once academic deficiencies have been overcome. So a principal goal for the coming academic year will be enhanced and innovative, and I underscore innovative, articulation agreements with metropolitan Detroit's community colleges so that we can provide contingent admissions of academically deficient students to Wayne State in collaboration with our community college partners. Wayne Direct is a very good start. It's actually fairly young, but it is a very good start. However, we must do more, including increased partnerships among our respective faculties, and we have the best laboratory in America for developing alternative pathways to the baccalaureate degrees through community college collaboration, the best laboratory in America. So this is both an educational and, importantly, a research challenge in the interest of higher education innovation nationally. And we must collect detailed data on performance so we can evaluate what works and what does not and adjust accordingly, and publish the results in the education research journals. Of course, another essential element to student success is financial aid. This year we took really decisive action to dramatically diminish the financial need barrier to a Wayne State education. First, the Board of Governors adopted a modest 5.4% increase in undergraduate tuition, and we further mitigated the resultant student cost using federal stimulus dollars, bringing the effective tuition increase to 4.8% for Michigan resident undergraduates. Wayne State's tuition is still 12th among Michigan's 15 public universities, but I must underscore a point. Our 12th ranking has both positive and quite negative implications, and I'll say more on that a little bit later. Our financial aid program for this academic year has several highlights that I'll mention just briefly. One, our enhanced financial aid stimulus package doubled the amount of need-based aid for most Wayne State students. Our alumni tuition reduction program, through which alumni or their spouses who have recently lost their jobs can take up to 4 classes at 50% of the cost of regular tuition. We're participating in the Yellow Ribbon Program for veterans, which is a national program providing returning veterans an opportunity to attend at a reduced rate. And in January, very importantly, we began a campaign called Aim Higher for Students to raise funds for both merit and need-based scholarships. Aim Higher for Students, again, which started in January, already has resulted in nearly $2 million in gifts to the university, well on our way toward our $10 million goal. That's item number one. Item number two, incentives for productive research. This semester, I'll convene a research incentive task force to create a university-wide approach providing strong incentives to productive researchers. This plan, it's a part of a strategy to strengthen our research activities and expand grant and contract funding. It's essential that we reward successful researchers in a variety of ways and that we leverage, very important, that we leverage our faculty recruitment by using extramural funds to support existing faculty salaries. In doing so, we can recruit additional faculty colleagues using the salary savings gained from extramural grants and contracts. And faculty incentives for research will enhance this leverage. Clearly, a defining characteristic of Wayne State is its outstanding research accomplishments. And this has been another successful research year, even in these tough economic times. Many people in the general public, and really amazingly, some people on this campus, are not aware that the Carnegie Foundation for the Advancement of Teaching designates Wayne State in the highest possible research category, a distinction held by only 3.6% of higher education institutions in the U.S. And this awarded status in Michigan is only given to Wayne State, Michigan State, and the University of Michigan. This is an impressive accomplishment and impressive company and a defining characteristic of Wayne State. Our research credentials are outstanding, and I'm pleased to say that we have raised our research expenditures this year by 10%, again in a tough economic period, to more than $253 million. It's a figure we intend to grow and accelerate. This year, Wayne State faculty members received $21 million in research grants under the Federal Stimulus American Recovery and Reinvestment Act. The 42 grants include 5 from the National Science Foundation for about $2 million and 35 from the National Institutes of Health for $14 million. That's the second largest number of NIH grants in the state, exceeded only by the University of Michigan. And our University Research Corridor Alliance, which is now in its 3rd year with the University of Michigan and MSU, continues to pay out for Michigan in a number of ways. Our 3 URC institutions already account for $1.38 billion in research expenditures in Michigan every year. That's 95% of all federal research dollars coming into the state. The URC has invested $900,000 of our own resources in seed grants to faculty to speed up development of feasible alternative energy research. And additional Wayne State accomplishments occurred this spring when our College of Engineering opened the Marvin I. Danto Engineering Development Center and the School of Medicine dedicated the Richard J. Mazurek Medical Education Commons. 2 new facilities, very impressive facilities that exponentially advance our capacity for research and education. 3rd issue, increased recruitment of full-time tenure-track faculty. The most critical factor in undergraduate and graduate student success and research productivity is our full-time tenure-track faculty. During the past decade, largely because of inadequate state appropriations and tuition revenues, we've neglected this asset to a degree that will threaten the quality of our institution unless we energetically reverse this trend. Currently, the proportion of our faculty that's full-time tenure track is behind our peers nationally and in Michigan. At Wayne State, the proportion of credit hours taught by full-time faculty is 35%. That's behind our Michigan Research University counterparts, MSU and the U of M, and they're at 45 to 50%. Additionally, our full-time faculty level, another measure, is 5.3 per 100 students. Now, that's close to Michigan State, which is at 5.6 to our 5.3, 5.6 per 100 students, but it is still considerably behind our peers nationally, which average 7.2 full-time faculty per 100 students. And while we balance our lower ratio of full-time faculty with part-time faculty, who bring very valuable work experience to teaching, it is essential that we return our full-time faculty complement to the level of our research university peers in Michigan and nationally, and we do so as soon as possible. This is very important to sustaining our excellence in research and education at both the undergraduate and graduate level. Our goal is to do so over the next 3 years, a very ambitious goal. We will energetically recruit more full-time tenure-track faculty through a combination of new resources and reallocation of existing resources. 4th issue, resource and revenue enhancement. Successfully addressing each of the 3 issues I've already mentioned requires resource investment. And investment is the correct term, because the result of these resource enhancements will be return on investment that is absolutely essential to the future of not only Wayne State, but also Detroit and all of Michigan. Michigan has a significant economic challenge, we all know that, to transform itself from a narrowly focused automotive manufacturing base to a diversified participant in a global, knowledge-driven economy. Wayne State is and has a major part to play in this transformation. In fact, I expect it will not happen without our investment in excellence, particularly in partnership with our university research corridor colleagues, MSU and U of M. Michigan must link its aspirations for economic turnaround with the transforming capacity of higher education. Time and again, national research has shown that a state's economic prosperity begins with its universities. Just look at North Carolina. However, so far, such research has not yet convinced our Michigan public policy makers to turn away from partisan debate and toward bold, productive action driven by concern for the public good rather than political expediency. Those are harsh words, but they're appropriate. Our state appropriation is catastrophically inadequate for the tasks at hand. Michigan ranks 50th in the nation for increases in state appropriations to higher education in the past decade. 50th out of 50. Dead last. You can't get any worse than that. Gross underfunding by the state is one of the most serious threats to this university and to the state itself. Because of this failure by the state, we must absolutely lift our traditional Wayne State restraint on tuition revenues. Our failure to be realistic about tuition in the face of state funding inadequacies threatens our academic programs and infrastructure, and this could diminish the level of excellence our students deserve. We have been frugal, but we cannot allow frugality to compromise our excellence anymore. Our recent frugality is the main reason we are threatened by our relatively low proportion of our faculty who are full-time tenure-track engaged in high-quality education and research. We must make bold yet pragmatic decisions about the way we balance tuition revenues with financial aid. This is a critically important balance and a difficult one. Fortunately, our Board of Governors recognizes the validity of this point, and I believe they will act courageously to assure the excellence remains an essential trait of this university through rational and substantial increases in tuition revenue. These are really difficult decisions. Most important to Wayne State's continuing excellence, despite the dramatic shortfall in both state support and tuition revenues, is the truly amazing success of our foundation and its highly competent staff in private fundraising. Every day, we must thank them and our generous donors for their absolutely essential sustaining commitment to Wayne State's national prominence among the very best urban research universities. Their continued work is what has made our continued prominence possible. We will continue our development effort with all the energy possible in the year ahead and beyond. Fifth issue, entrepreneurship and economic stimulus. Frankly, we're not waiting for the state to catch up. We already are doing our part for Michigan's economy. I'll just give you a few examples, and there are many more. Vigorous research universities like Wayne State produce innovations, inventions, patents, licenses, new companies, and jobs. The discovery, production, and commercialization of new products and services are of direct and lasting benefit to our economy. We can see this process at work on our own campus in several spin-off companies resulting from the work of our faculty. TechTown continues to stimulate the creation of new businesses and jobs in Detroit and Michigan through its community of entrepreneurs, investors, mentors, corporate partners. Its signature building, Tech One, is home to nearly now 100 new and established companies from this country and abroad, and that's up from just 40 a year ago. And for those of you who have not heard this, A couple weeks ago, our Wayne State Office of Technology Commercialization was relocated to Techtown. This change will better integrate our academic programs with entrepreneurial programs at Techtown and facilitate connections between our faculty and the business community. And Techtown recently became home to something called Fast Track to the Future. It's a $9.25 million grant-funded entrepreneurship project of the New Economy Initiative and the Kansas City-based Kauffman Foundation that promises to train entrepreneurs and create 400 new companies to boost Southeast Michigan's economy in the next 3 to 5 years. This year, Techtown became home to Michigan's first stem cell commercialization lab with support of $750,000 grant from Wayne County Executive Bob Ficano. And this year, the U.S. Department of Energy awarded Wayne State $5 million to provide an electric vehicle engineering, education, and workforce training program. Professor K.Y. Simon Eng is leading a team to provide a comprehensive set of educational degree programs in electric drive vehicles, electric transportation technology, and electric vehicle maintenance, from an associate degree in collaboration with Macomb Community College to a baccalaureate degree to a graduate engineering degree at Wayne State, funded by the federal government. 6th issue, Midtown Woodward Wayne. I said I'd say more about what this means. It will take a great effort to fully revitalize Detroit, but it can happen. 25 years ago, Pittsburgh was in dramatic economic decline, much like Detroit's recent experience, having lost to other parts of the world its historical manufacturing base in steel. Unemployment was actually higher even than it currently is in Detroit. But Pennsylvania enlisted its research universities in Pittsburgh and provided stimulus funding. Today, Pittsburgh is a center of entrepreneurship in computer software, biotechnology, and world-class healthcare and medical research. It's a city that works. What happened in Pittsburgh can be a model for the renewal of Detroit. The key is collaboration among higher education, businesses, foundations, and government. It won't be easy. It wasn't easy for Pittsburgh. But no American city is more tough-minded or has a stronger work ethic than Detroit. I'm convinced that Wayne State will be fundamental to any renewal of Detroit and Michigan. Midtown, our neighborhood, and the cornerstone of Detroit's critically important Woodward Corridor, or the Cultural Corridor, as it's often called, will lead the renewal of the city's quality of life and economic strength. This is so because of Midtown's assets in cultural institutions, entertainment, employment, neighborhood value, and, of course, education. And Wayne is fully engaged in a key effort here, Hudson Weber's imaginative initiative called 15,000 by 2015, which hopes to attract 15,000 young professionals to live and work in Midtown by 2015. The efforts of Hudson Weber, the Kresge Foundation, Wayne State, and others have already injected new life into expectations for Midtown and all of Detroit. And additionally, Hudson Weber and other foundations have partnered with several of Midtown's anchor institutions in revitalization. In addition to Wayne State, the Detroit Medical Center, Henry Ford Health System, the University Cultural Center Association, the College of Creative Studies, and others. The Wayne State mantra that has now been created by our thoughtful PR people is this: live, learn, work, and play in Midtown. Our relationship to this revitalization and our considerable influence, and it is considerable, takes on a lot of activities, including public schools, public safety, housing, transportation, economic development, among others. And Wayne State is deeply involved in all of these. I'd like to give you just a couple of examples, and there will be more of this to come. First, an upgrade of Detroit's K-12 public schools is absolutely fundamental to attracting the young professionals essential to this concept of 15 by 15. Wayne State already has more than 120 partnership programs with Detroit Public Schools to enhance the learning experience. This fall, we have a new effort. We have assumed responsibility for the entire math program at Detroit's Western International High School, a tough high school. This project builds on our Math Corps program, which has had an astonishing record at improving the performance of young students in DPS. Since 1995, 90% of Math Corps students, Wayne State's Math Corps students, DPS students, representative of the entire spectrum of DPS, not specially selected, 90% have graduated from high school, and 80% have gone on to college. That compares to only 45% graduation rates for DPS students overall. It's a remarkable accomplishment. Second example, this year we invested more than $500,000 in 13 faculty research and development projects aimed at transformation of urban life. Third example, Wayne State's Urban Engagement Task Force, headed by Professor Ike Thompson and Robin Boyle, has proposed that a Center for Urban Engagement Research and Education be created to identify opportunities for Wayne State's faculty engagement and research in urban issues. As I mentioned, Detroit's revival will take great effort, but all things of consequence take great effort. And in this case, great vision and optimism. The ingredients really are here. The vision is clear, the optimism is palpable. Now we just have to make it happen. Seventh and final issue, continual pursuit of new strategic directions. Consolidating and refining all of these pursuits of excellence is the rationale for a newly formed Strategic Directions Initiative. The goal is to develop quantitative, and I underscore quantitative, consensus objectives for the university and continually monitor progress and adjust accordingly. The Strategic Directions Initiative engages campus leadership, deans, cabinet, faculty, and students. The intent is determination of the university's specific quantitative goals and objectives, subjective to ongoing evaluation and related allocation of resources based upon progress or lack thereof. We must be willing to continually reinvent ourselves, but do so with specific analytical justification for sustained long-term accomplishments. We'll engage in campus-wide and targeted forums throughout the year, as well as focused task forces, of which there are already 6 operating. We will then continue the effort in subsequent years. It's not a one-year effort, it's a continual, forever effort. And we'll publish an annual progress report describing revised quantitative objectives and revised resource allocation. So those are the 7 issues. In closing, I'll just very briefly reflect a little more personally on the past year. When I spoke at my first public forum on campus a little more than a year ago, I said I believe the presidency of Wayne State University was the most exciting leadership opportunity in higher education today, for all of the reasons that I've already mentioned. Detroit, what Wayne State is and the assets it has, all of the challenges and opportunities. My first year as president has proven last year's characterization of Wayne State to be true in even more ways than I anticipated. In the past year, my family and I have been warmly welcomed into this vigorous community made up of educators and researchers and real community activists, as well as a student population that is more rich in its diversity and its commitment to community than any other campus in America. All you have to do is go to commencement to see how clearly that's true. We very much enjoyed learning about Midtown, about Detroit, and about Michigan. My wife Sherry and I have thoroughly enjoyed campus events, from the farmers market to town forums to a lot of fun in very successful Warrior athletics. We've walked from Wayne State, from our house, Jacob House, to the riverfront. It's a great walk. A lot of people in suburban Detroit don't realize that. We've sampled the city's cultural life. We watched the Tigers and the Red Wings win. We watched the Lions lose. But that was great football to watch despite the loss. And we have met literally hundreds of people who share our belief that Detroit is on the verge of a real and lasting renewal, and our children, our adults, have come to visit us, and they have the same impression. As newcomers to Detroit, they have the same impression. We deeply appreciate the kindness and the generosity that this community has shown us. serving Wayne State University and working with its students, faculty, staff, and alumni. It is a profound privilege for which I'm deeply grateful. And I'm confident that we will make Wayne State University a beacon illuminating a bright future for Detroit, as well as the engine driving its return to economic prosperity. Thank all of you for coming.